Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lawyer Interviews. I am your host today, Jeff Dillon. With us today, we have a very exciting guest, entertainment lawyer and entrepreneur himself, Matt BUSER. So, Matt, thanks so much for talking with us today. It's really nice to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, diving right in, Matt, why don't you give us a quick background? How did you become a lawyer? What is your story?
So I have a pretty unique path. It's actually kind of fun, and I'm in my role as an entertainment attorney. Well, let me tell you about my practice because then it'll help to understand the path.
Great.
My practice now consists about 80% music based. So that's my passion. That's my primary area of practice. But my practice also extends into other areas of entertainment. So fashion, film and TV, fine art, adult entertainment, influencers, professional athletes. And then by virtue of that kind of clientele, which is mainly talent, and then the companies surrounding talent, management, agents, record labels, publishing companies on an independent level, because I'm not in-house for any of the majors. So on an independent level, some of those companies and corporate structured entities are my clients as well as the talent. So by virtue of this kind of talent, I also do a lot of work in the legal cannabis business in states that have legalization and complete openness. And then also I do a lot of work in the NFT crypto space, depending on the state of the market and then label approvals and such. So that's kind of like my practice areas that's my clientele base. And so the reason why I'm in music is because when I was 15, I knew I wanted to do this. So I was one of those kind of weirdos that knew exactly what he wanted to do really early on. And it's because I have a music background. I have 10 years of classical piano training. I sing and play guitar. I've played drums in the middle school band and then after piano, and then moved to guitar and picked up guitar when I was 13, when I was a freshman in high school, and got like a little Fender Squier Stratocaster, and it was awesome. So, and then I joined a little band with a couple of my friends, and I wasn't very good, and I was saying, I can manage us or whatever. They're like, and I didn't know anything, right? And but at that time, I knew that I wanted to be on the business side of the music business.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that I was just going to be happy working with this kind of topic and these kinds of individuals and this kind of material. So that's when I set my sights to it. And then I played music for the rest of my life. And I still do as a hobby, but I got paid to play music on Friday nights at bars in Miami when I was attending University of Miami Law from 2008 to 2011. So I kept it going even through law school. It was a fun release. Like, we get $50 in an open bar tab. Like it wasn't real money, but it was a lot of fun. And I would play like covers of Britney Spears and T.I. and Bob Dylan and do it my way with acoustic and have like a couple backing musicians. So
your typical playlist, those three songs.
Exactly. Right. You could see how they all run together. No,
yes.
So now I'm 100% referral based. I'm actually considering doing some PR for my firm for the first time this year. And that'll be in its 8.5-year history. So I'm 100% referral based. So I just keep getting a lot more and more music, but then that opened the door to other areas of entertainment, which I've, fortunately I have a lot of great mentors around me and a lot of great resources and attorneys that, might be seen as competition. I see as collaboration, and I've had a lot of help along the way to get here.
Do you need to be a musician to be a music lawyer?
No, definitely not. I know plenty of amazing lawyers who are in music that I don't think could hold a note or play a note. But there are a lot of musicians like Bernie Resnick, for one. I know that he plays bass and like plays backing for big, orchestral productions and stuff. So, I mean, and then there's others as well. Josh Drion is one of them too. But anyway, there's a bunch of attorneys that I know that do play music. I think what it adds is like a level of relatability that you can share with your clients. Also, depending on the level of experience in music and training that you've had, it helps you understand copyright infringement claims. It helps you understand song structuring. It helps you have a good ear for mixing and mastering, and also judging whether or not a copyright claim is valid, and if someone makes one.
Yeah.
So all of that helps. It's not necessary, but it helps. And then like I'm not a big office guy. I'm at my house right now, and that's where I really prefer to be. So pre-pandemic, I spent a lot of my time in studios. And I think that also, it helped me get business, but it also gave me like a cool factor. But I wasn't really going for that. I was just, that's how I was enjoying it. I was that guy. And this was back when I was single. I'm married now, right? So when I was single, I was that guy who would be in the back of the studio working on contracts at 2 o'clock in the morning while they're tracking vocals,
Uh-huh.
because I just felt so inspired by it,
Right. That is a
Yeah.
much cooler setting to be working in. Do you find that clients trust you more because you can speak to your own musical gigging experience?
And not to sound like super peace and harmony across all lawyers, because unfortunately some don't share that position, but I don't say more. I wouldn't compare myself, but I'll say that my clients trust me because of my ability to communicate with them effectively. The biggest reason being that I can break down pretty easily, like break down complicated provisions, paragraphs, sentences that are standing alone, or a 65-page document, and explain it to someone that might be 17 years old and
Mm-hmm.
hasn't graduated high school yet. So
Yep.
that's, and a lot of my clientele have had, unfortunately, some issues with the law, and some haven't finished high school and stuff like that. And so they appreciate it and trust me because I spend the time to go out of my way to make sure that they understand what it is that I'm asking them to sign,
Yep.
instead of just saying, hey, I've approved this, I've negotiated this, go ahead and sign it.
Got it. Yeah, absolutely. I think one thing that would be helpful for all of us listening to this interview, I want to break down the different terminology, because you said you work with managers and management companies. You're a
Yeah.
lawyer. We've all watched Entourage.
Yeah.
Are you E or are you Ari Gold? Can
I'm
you
actually
break?
neither one. I'm like the guy that you don't ever see.
Okay. Okay.
Uh,
You know,
but I like to, some of my clients have said I have an Ari Gold esque-ness to me. I
uh-huh.
don't know how to take that exactly, but
Right.
but
And I'll rephrase it just even once again, just to say, or
yeah.
talent have a manager, right? And then talent has a lawyer. What's the difference between those two
Yeah,
roles?
that's a great question. Because back when I was deciding that I wanted to be in the music business, I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
And then there's another one to throw in that mix, which is an agent, because it all seems
Right.
very similar, right? So the biggest difference, in this is very simplistically
Please.
related, but the biggest difference is the agent procures opportunities. They
Hmm.
solicit gigs and bookings for performances and appearances, and sometimes brand deals as well. Like I've got, one of my clients is a very famous top of the world drag queen named Shea Coulee. And Shay is signed with UTA, and I got to shout them out because they just do a fantastic job of bringing Shay so many brand deals, right?
Hmm.
And then we have other agents that work, like Kara Lewis is working with my client Glorilla and helping book, and Glow just got announced on Coachella, and she just, like had her first label signing and first big hit last year in the summer of 2022. So all that's coming about. So anyway, the agent gets the bookings, okay? Managers are supposed to manage incoming inquiries and incoming business, right?
Mm.
They're actually, in most management agreements, we have a provision that says manager is not a talent agency. Manager is not required or expected to secure bookings. And if manager does, it's not a breach of managers' like duties. Because actually, in most states, especially the states that have very prominent entertainment scenes like Florida, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, California, and New York, it's a third-degree felony to book talent, multiple talent, without a talent agent license. So it's very, very serious when it comes to this restriction. It's a very clear-cut line. And so,
Mm.
or kind of, it can be gray at sometimes, but really it's like managers don't book. Managers are supposed to be checking the emails and making sure that, they're overseeing everything. The manager oversees the talent's entire dealings, because they deal with the business manager, who's the one that handles invoicing and books and records and
Yeah.
taxes. And then the manager is overlooking the agent who's getting the performance bookings, and the manager is communicating with me, the attorney, and the record label and the publishing company. So the managers and the personal assistant of the talent. So the manager is overseeing all of that, right? That's who called me when I had to switch over. That was Glow's manager. So that's her day-to-day, who is overseeing everything that's going on. And he's doing a great job of it, by the way. So my role is to help with all the legal work, right? And I kind of act as a first and last line of defense, along with the manager, along with the agent, along with the label, along with the publishing company. And I help advise and counsel in all things legal and business. So also I help connect dots. Like, I personally am not a passive attorney. I prefer to be active. If my client gives me direction, hey, I want to do a brand deal for shoes, and the only shoes I wear are Converse, I'm going after Converse, right? Like, that's my direction. So I like to help connect dots where I can, time permitting. So I hope that kind of gives like a delineation between the roles.
Yeah, no, it's really helpful. And I think it clears it up. People don't know who is what. And if you need to be a
Yeah,
lawyer to be any of those or all three of those, you need to be a lawyer to
right.
be a lawyer, but perhaps not to be the agent or the manager.
You need to know what they're supposed to do, so that you know who to reach out to when
Mhm.
something comes in, and you know who to bring in. That's
Yeah.
important.
Well, it was really helpful. Thanks for breaking that out. Going to law school, people saying like different types of careers and fields to be into. Entertainment law is always like the coolest sounding thing. It also is what we're warned against. This is hard to break into. This
Yep.
is a very competitive field. Do you agree with that? Do you have any advice for any lawyers who say this is what I would dream to do? Because it's honestly, it sounds sexy to be an entertainment
Yeah,
lawyer,
no, it's
right?
sexy. It can be, right? I mean, so there's twofold. Excuse me. So it is hard to break into, okay? But my wife, who's big on manifestation and mindset coaching, and is a personal professional coach and mindset coach, who you should interview if you have something in that space too, by the way, because she's got a whole nother story. She started as a lawyer, she still practices, and now is a mindset coach and helps with manifestation and personal and professional growth on a corporate level and an individual level. So she's really interesting as well, and still
Sure.
moonlights as a lawyer. So but anyway, so she would be upset with me saying that it's hard, but it is. Like, it's tough to get into. You have to be connected. When I opened my firm, the first few years were really tough and scary, to be honest with you, because you don't make money until you have clients that are really making money,
Yeah.
And so that was a whole thing that I had to build this book of business. And in order to build the book of business, you have to be known for having consistent work and a strong reputation of people liking you and wanting to work with you, and success. So it's like, the chicken before the egg, and I could have probably gone in and worked for a firm, and I started doing that, but very early on, I wasn't cut out for it. I knew that I had a different way of doing it, and I wanted to do it my own way. So what I recommend is, entertainment law doesn't tell you about what kind of stuff you're actually practicing, right? So I would learn, my practice areas personally are corporate contracts and brand and IP protection, right?
Mhm.
And that encompasses entertainment law as far as I'm concerned. So what I would suggest is any law students making sure that they have a solid understanding of corporate, because each talent is a company, right?
Yeah.
And you need to understand how to structure that company. Okay. So that's number one. Contracts, self-explanatory, everything black and white we touch, so having a good understanding of contracts, and most importantly, getting some kind of experience, even if you got to work for free and intern like I did, and all through law school, and paying my own way,
Yeah.
you got to get it, because you got to get accustomed to reading these documents and understanding
Mhm.
what they mean. And then I'm really big on brand protection, because I can help my clients make more money by exploiting protected materials, right? So I do a lot of copyright, federal in the United States advising. It's kind of cost prohibitive for my clients to hire me unless they have, a lot of extra cash to file copyrights, but it's also very user friendly and they can do it themselves,
Yeah.
as opposed to federal trademark, which is even more costly, but it's where you need a lawyer. So I do a lot of federal trademark work. So understanding the nuances of copyright and trademark for an entertainment attorney, especially in the music business,
Mhm.
super, super important, right? And a lot of the copyright and trademark principles flow into other areas of entertainment. Most of them do. There's always copyright issues and not issues, but matters to address in film and TV, fashion, fine art, all of these, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so and then the other thing, so it's understanding those courses and getting that kind of knowledge base. And then the other thing is getting out there.
Yep.
And what I did was I was president of the Entertainment and Sports Law Society. I was very active in the Intellectual Property Law Society. I was a student on campus, like Grammy U member of the
Yeah.
Recording Academy.
Mm-hmm.
I was an athletic tutor for University of Miami's like undergraduate sports teams, like their football team, their tennis team, their basketball team. And I'm still in touch with some of those guys. And I did that just to make athlete contacts, you know, and I would go to any conferences and any music events that I could possibly go to. Anything I could afford or anything I could weasel my way into, I was there. So anything that was like, whereas lawyers talking, or ideally that, you know, I did a lot of like judging later in my career. So going to these conferences where it's like a you know producer panel where you're getting judged on your beats, or like it's an artist showcase competition, I would go to all that stuff because I'd be one of the few lawyers there, and I was able to like scoop up talent and stuff.
I see that. So this is not an introvert's world.
No. I don't think so. But you know, look, like I know a lot of attorneys that are far more soft spoken and a lot quieter
Yeah.
and super brilliant individuals that you know, compared to me as far as talking. And you know, they're doing fine and they are thriving at these major firms where, you know, someone else can be out there pounding the pavement, and these intellectuals are behind the scenes, like really crushing the deals. So,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think I'm just telling my path. I don't know that there's a set prescription, you know?
Of course, no, and that's all we can do is put
Right.
together different people's experiences and see what we can learn from them.
That's right.
How important would you say location is? Was Miami a great place to start? I mean, LA, I know you're also based out of. That seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
How important is that?
You know, I know entertainment attorneys that they randomly pop up and their office address is in, you know, New Orleans or Iowa or something, like where, you know, New Orleans it has a scene, but you know, but my point is that Midwest, Middle America, there are entertainment attorneys for sure that are thriving too, I'm sure, you know. I found personally, because I like to be out and about and I am extroverted, that being in city, plus I grew up in cities. I grew up in Atlanta, then I moved to Miami, and then I've spent a ton of time in New York and have stayed there for months at times. And then I'm like have lived and, you know, part-time and full-time out in LA. So I love the big city, you know, it's for me, right?
Yeah.
And so that's been really helpful because you can go out and you end up when I was in LA, I would be out in West Hollywood at lunch, like yapping on the phone, and somebody next to me after I got off the phone would be like, "You an entertainment attorney?" And then boom, I got a new client.
That's awesome. Being in the right place, right time, I'm sure helps with that also.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Matt, I am going to recommend we do a part 2 to this if you would be willing. But this was like a really educational and like really interesting interview. So I just want to say thank you
No problem.
for taking the time and sharing all this experience and wisdom with us.